kind of funny because there weren't actually any more duels added in the Crane pack, really. Like, what was there? There was the 3-drop, and then that's it, right? Like, was there a dual event or anything? Oh, there was the Goombai, the attachment. Yeah, Goombai's good. I'm curious how many you can get away with because it's unique. I'm thinking I'm gonna run 2 Goombai, 2 Fan, and 2 Katana, and try that out for a bit. No, the Daisho discards it. Oh yeah, Baz, that's right. I forgot that the political scheming was a duel. Probably because I don't know how good that card is. Or rather, I do know how good that card is, I think. And it's not very. Alright, looks like we're getting ready to start the round here. Is anyone else just a little teeny bit triggered that Daniel uses his conflict sleeves for his dynasty deck and his dynasty sleeves for his conflict deck? Maybe it's just me. And for those of you who hadn't noticed, you're welcome. Now you know. Wrong Speedy says Evan needed to double Cloud Tetsuko pre-conflict and he might have won, or he would have won. Yeah, possibly. Johnny was out of gas basically, so that's very much a possibility. Isn't it crazy that this game has that high of a skill cap, where double clouding a Tetsuko pre-conflict is the correct play to make? I love that. Yeah, we'll see about that there. That's very much a real thing. I know I felt it when I played Anil, where like I know Anil's a very good player, and it causes me to be extra conservative when I really shouldn't be, or I miss triggers or something like that due to the pressure of the game itself. I'm kind of torn. I want Anil to win because he's my friend and he's playing Phoenix, but I also think Daniel's an awesome dude, and I think it'd be really cool if Unicorn won a Kotei here. Once more, shout out to Dan's like card etiquette, doing this one card at a time. I mean, I'd be nervous too. Dude. I'm nervous every time. I'm sure Anil gets nervous too. Like the nerves get to you. I mean, you're playing a tournament, right? You're trying to win. There's pressure there. So I think Johnny is going first again, which is good for him. And Neil did get Palace. That'll definitely help him turn on the censure. Because like I said, you need to either see Tadaka or you need to censure the captive audience in Korimori. And then Phoenix, if you can get that set up, you're pretty much set for the game. Oh, he drew a censure too, so he has at least one. Definitely not a card you want to see turn one, but I think you'll be happy to have it turn two. Because it seems very likely he's gonna get favor turn one. I don't think anyone can beat Anil. Like, I don't think you could just pick some guy off the street, pop him into an L5R deck, and have him beat Anil. That said, he's not some god either. He's totally beatable. He's playing the same game you are. Just play good. Play good and you beat him. Can confirm it works. Yeah, it looks like James and Anthony are still not on Lotus Pavilion, the result of their game. Oh, you did say anyone good. Alright, my bad, dude. Reading is hard. Yeah, dude. Anil's ready. Yeah, so now we're sharing deck lists. Anil's just pulling up Bushi Builder on his phone. Dennis, I'm pretty sure if you Google search that, it just straight up gives you a picture of Tadaka. I'm pretty sure Neil would have a couple more Kotei wins under his belt too if he didn't concede the last like four he went to. So it does hurt his reputation a bit. It would have been nice to see him play at Paris because then that would be like the first ever time in any card game ever that a U.S. player won a European event. Jakob's a cool dude. Yeah, Pablo's good too. I can admit Pablo's a really fun guy to play against too because he's very energetic. Shen isn't playing anymore though. I think he's taking a break. He might come back now that the restricted list is coming. I think he was just really sick of the where the meta was basically. He wasn't happy with where Scorpion was, and I don't think he enjoyed playing Phoenix all that much. He just thought Phoenix was like really stupid. Eric's obviously a very good Crane player. There's a lot of good players, man. Hard to say who's the best in the world. I'd put my money in on Anil, but that's just because Anil is a more prevalent part of my meta. I interact with him more, so. I mean, Phoenix is pretty dumb. I agree. I don't like the design where Phoenix is because it's really binary. If X, then win. If Y, then no win. It's not very exciting. That's why I'm hoping tomorrow they announce that they ban Tadaka. I really do. Please ban Tadaka and then print Phoenix some interesting cards that are like not game winning. Gosh, maybe you could prevent an interesting spell for once. I mean, it's just Tadaka, man. Like, I think Phoenix as a clan outside of Tadaka is relatively fair. Like, Consumed by Five Fires is, like, borderline, I guess, when combined with Embrace the Void, but it's still just a board clear, man. It doesn't, like, win me the game when I play it. I cannot kill you by playing Consumed by Five Fires. I can kill you by playing Tadaka. Earth Become Sky is an interesting spell, but once more, it's not like Recursible KI. It's also Earth Roll only, which makes it kind of tragic because it's one of those rollout cards. If Tadaka is banned, which clan will Anil play? Probably go back to Dragon. Palace Conjo! Fucking yikes. And Tadaka 2 Fate just coming out turn 1. Anil flexing hard. Ooh, wow. Yeah, Anil's just going to go ahead and pass. I agree with that statement. Dare. I think Consumed is fair in a vacuum. Actually, it's probably even a little weak in a vacuum, but combined with Embrace, it's a little nutty. But yeah, this 2 Fate Tadaka play turn 1, this is actually really nice. I really like this play from Anil. He found the Tadaka in his mulligan, he just kept it, and rather than leaving it in the province, where Tadaka can potentially get killed or removed by the province breaking, he just buys it. And then he also has Conjo Palace. This is a great flip from Anil. This is going to be really hard for Daniel. That said, Daniel's flip is still pretty good. It's basically a mirror of the flip from the first game. He had the Yurt Keeper and his Shinjo Shono and the Trailblazer. He's going to have to buy the Trailblazer here. And then we'll have to see. He basically has singleton copies of everything in his deck now. He actually spends a Fate on the Trailblazer. So he either has the charge already for Shono, or he's planning on something else. So both players bid 5. There's the charge. Cav reserves. He does still run Talisman. I know some Unicorn players were considering cutting it because you're running a little attachment light nowadays. But yeah. I'm curious what provinces the Palace and Conjo were on. That could be a big deal. Tadaka going for the political void first, just going to try and kill this Shono. I didn't see what that was. Oh, that's Khan's Ordu. Nice. New Unicorn Province flips the conflict to military, and now all conflicts this turn are military. I'm super curious if Dan is going to just let this break. I do somewhat feel like you have to. It sucks that you lose your good charge here. But, I mean, it sucks worse to just block here, still lose, potentially lose the province, not have any attackers, etc. Oh, yeah, I guess Dan never shared his deck list. Yeah, we know Dan's row has Pilgrimage in it. We know Khan's Ordu is now his fire province. So we're missing his water, his air, and his earth. Well, he's probably got a holding authority for earth. We're seeing the Embrace the Void go onto the Shinjo Trailblazer. So this is a cute little play. I actually really like this. Even though you're just turning one card into with Embrace the Void into one Fate. Like, it's not long-term value, but you're getting the short-term value, and it gets you Fate that you can spend to use against the waves on Tadaka this turn. And I imagine that's exactly what we're going to see here, is an Against the Waves just blown right now to ready Tadaka. So we see Military Earth come back here. Curious not going for fire. Fertile Fields gets another fate to Anil here. And Anil did not actually spend the Against the Waves. He may not have had it. Maybe he had just Clarity. So we're seeing the Fine Katana come out here. The Shrine Maiden's going to just barely prevent the Province Break here. Triggers, I think that's an Embrace the Void, Supernatural Storm, and then discards an Ornate Fan. You're fine with the Ornate Fan discard here. That card is not very good in this matchup. So currently not breaking. Anil's cards super glary. Very tilting. The Shinjo Ambusher comes in for another +2. We're going to Bonsai the Maiden. Quick check just for Defend Your Honor. Bonsai gets met from Dan. Now I wonder for Anil if the sly play here would actually be to play another character and prevent the Stronghold use. Five to 12. Anil needs a pump of 3, or no, just a pump of 2 to prevent the break. Might spend a Katana on the Maiden. Oh, he's gonna spend the other Maiden. Super interesting. Stronghold now turned off for Dan. Discards 3 non-spells. Ancient Master, Korkim, Censure. The Ancient Master hurts. The Censure also hurts. But the Court Games doesn't matter that much. So we're going to see the Assassination come out. Lots of cards spent here by Dan. Just to get this this break. Anil spends an Ancient Master into the conflict. And we're probably going to... Oh, he spends it outside the conflict here. Because it's an Earth Ring. So I imagine that Ancient Master is actually going to attack Water next. So there's Spoils of War. Coming in to filter some cards. Probably discarding some duplicates of events that he's played. Actually, I think he only played a Bonsai and an Assassination. Conjo goes down. That's pretty big for the Unicorn player. So he actually discards Defend Your Honor. Super interestingly. To the Spoils of War. Yeah, he went to draw the card with the Earth Ring real quick, but then remembers to pop his Stronghold. Looks like Anil loses and Embrace the Void. So Defend Your Honor, Spoils of War, and Bonsai are all turned off. Ancient Master goes in for the military water attack. Finds Upholding Authority. That's pretty perfect for Anil. Because this was just a poke. Now Daniel does have a Fine Katana he can spend to force the break. Anil can answer that with like a Let Go maybe. Or maybe he just eats the break. He's already played quite a few cards this turn. This Upholding Authority, probably not that good. But we know he has a Censure in hand. Maybe 2 Censures even. So yeah, Daniel definitely thinking about his options here. It seems like a pretty clear cut. You don't defend, and then you either commit the Katana to try and force the break on Upholding Authority, or you don't, and you just accept that UA doesn't break. So it looks like we're standing Tadaka, winning the Water Ring. And this is what you want to see from turn 1 perspective as Phoenix. You're trying to draw out conflict characters from the Unicorn player here. And try and win favor turn 1. And right now Anil's doing both. Oh, looks like they just passed through. Oh, it could have been a case where both players passed their first conflict opportunity. If so, that would be a really strong thing for Anil. Because I was really curious why he attacked with Tadaka first as the first conflict, but I think both players may have passed the first conflict. That's good for Anil too, because he hit the Khan's Ordu when it would have had a little bit less of an effect. Actually, no, Anil did 2 conflicts. So Johnny decides he just doesn't want to commit the Tattooed Wanderer there, I'm assuming. To make another military attack. I'm just super curious, because he popped his Stronghold and then didn't make any attacks. Chagatai shows up for Johnny here. Johnny now first player as well. Anil takes a military favor, as you do against Unicorn. Finds the Emperor. Unfortunately, just 7 Fate makes the Emperor a little bit of an awkward buy here. I wouldn't be surprised to see him buy the Dreamer, though. I also wouldn't be surprised to see Anil just pass. A lot of the impactful cards in Dan's hand have been spent. You still have the big 3 of Captive Onins, Cavalry Reserves, and Charge to deal with. Oh, and Lisa Jin, too. But Emperor is just not the buy here with only 7 Fate. So we're seeing Nergui bot with 2 Fate. Pretty good against Phoenix, though I have to imagine she's just going to get clouded. Daniel really considering this duplicate here. And gives Anil the pass for that. So Library is going to draw Anil a card. I imagine both players are bidding 5. Anil could put on some honor pressure thanks to Assassination. Decides against it. We do still have that charge in Daniel's hand. Very critical card with this Chagatai. Anil might need to save a cloud or some other answer. But at the same time, he also has favor. Could just censure the charge. Yeah, I think Anil's goal this turn is really just to kind of dawdle a little bit. Just not give too much ground to the Unicorn player. Play Emperor next turn, and then the Emperor can basically carry you from there. Emperor is really good against Unicorn. It makes Charge and Cavalry Reserves very awkward. You can bow an attacking character, which is often going to prevent the break. Just good incremental advantage card. Daniel decides not to go for the Emperor, goes for the Library instead. Hits Meditations. I don't know what the Dreamer was selected for, but it looks like we have a double defend here from Anil. So we're going to Cloud Tetsuko, or not Tetsuko, Negui. There's the let go. That's the one let go that Daniel's going to be allowed to play thanks to Tadaka. Another Cloud. No other Cloud, so we are going to remove a Fate from Negui. She's going to send Tadaka home. I think the Ethereal Dreamer might have been hit on Void. That seems like a very wise up play from Anil. So Anil bonsais, knowing that Daniel can't do the same. Negui's been used. Challenge on the fields won't work here. Now that Anil knows that Daniel's on Dragon Splash, there's no other send homes. This is tricky. Daniel would have to expend and unleash the Jin here to make it 3-3. Actually, even then that wouldn't work. So we're going to see Charge get censured. Yikes, and then Tadaka's just locking the game down here. We do have some curved blades, though, and we have Cav reserves. So it's just a question of how much can Daniel put in. I think he can win this conflict, but it's going to cost him basically the rest of his hand. But he removes Tadaka next turn, forcing Anil to find another copy. Seems worth it to me. I think you got to do it to go for the win. So it's now 5-6. It's not enough to win. Also, because the Dreamer is 6 right now with the favor and the bonsai, it means that this is not the Dreamer's conflict that Anil chose. Maybe Anil forgot the trigger. You can see the night and day between this game and the game we just watched where Evan sort of got rolled over. Both decks pretty draw dependent in this matchup. Another curved blade comes out. This might prompt Anil to go for a let go. There's not much else worth let going in this matchup, but I do see a Cloud the Mind, I think, in Daniel's hand, so Anil knows that Cloud the Mind is a possibility, including Ayuchi Wayfinder into Cloud the Mind. If he only has one let go, then he might not spend it, but he does go for it here. Brings it back down 5-6. A Fine Katana comes in. That's still going to be enough. 7-6. We're going to box a Supernatural Storm, I believe, to add 2 and just counteract that Fine Katana. 8-7. 7-8, rather. Lots of cards coming out here. There you go, Tattooed Wanderer coming in. This will enable the box, but in order to trigger it, you'd have to sacrifice Nergui. 9-8. Another Supernatural Storm just comes out. Anil just bleeding unicorn of cards and options. Tadaka turning off everything. I think Daniel has to play a Talisman of the Sun proactively here, just for the +1. Does Anil have a Fine Katana or any other sort of pump? Another storm. There it is. All 3 storms expended. And looks like that's going to prevent the break here. Or not the break, the win here. Tadaka sticks around another turn. That's huge for Anil. Absolutely huge. Anil's now going to be able to go in. Possibly go in on water here, even as an option. Your opponent probably doesn't have any more conflict characters because they would have spent it to try and win that conflict. But it looks like Tadaka going in Political Fire. We might see a Clarity. There's Pilgrimage. There's the infamous Pilgrimage that did Evan some nasty damage. A Court Games here would be obviously great. I think Anil, a Court Games into a... Oh, looks like we're just moving over with the Talisman. That's a fair play. So we're just going to see a Court Game spent on Tadaka here. And we're just going to play out the cards in hand that are vital if we can. I see another Court Games. We're going to play the Consumed by 5 Fires just to clear the board. Dan has commit a lot of attachments to this board now. A lot of events are in the discard. Tadaka's turning those off. And this is the exact control plan Phoenix wants. So now that Dan's spent a bunch of attachments and a bunch of events being turned off, there's not a lot left in his deck that he can do. He just has to draw into more attachments and conflict characters and hope that's what he gets. So we see Against the Waves, Ancient Master, I think an Ornate Fan, and a Court Games. You're probably discarding the Against the Waves here. Actually, probably the Ancient Master. It's a tough choice between those two. But neither of the political-oriented cards you care about that much. The Province is going to break. The Fire Ring is going to be used. For something. I think he dishonored Nergui, actually. There's like a little dishonor flag there. Game's not over, though. Tadaka will leave play in another turn. So this is going to be tricky for Anil. He does need to kind of find another Tadaka. He's, once again, not really in a position to buy this Emperor since he went for the Consumed line of play last turn. So he has to decide whether he's going to keep this Emperor or just throw it away. I think you do keep it, because the Emperor is kind of like Tadaka in terms of his impact in this matchup. So I would maybe throw away the Palace. Oh, he throws away the Palace and the Emperor. Keeps the Library. Anil maybe just thinking he has the game on lock already, really just wants to find a Tadaka dupe or dig to his next copy. Doesn't find it, though. Anil also might just be able to win this turn. He has a Storm in the discard, so right now his Stronghold is +3. He can just buy this Dreamer and then go for a break on something and then try and go for the Stronghold win. Oh, we see a Mia Mystic bot out with no Fate. I'm very curious what sort of attachment Daniel's trying to counter here. Or what sort of, attachment. Maybe just a good defense against Cloud. He's not going to be able to play a charge, though. Anil might actually flip his bid to 1 here. It depends on how good he thinks his hand is. He does have a Supernatural Storm in the discard. Flipping the bid to 1 here could be huge, turning off cards like Unleash the Djinn alongside Tadaka, but he decides to go in 5-4. I think Anil's just going to go for the break. Not going for cute stuff, realizes Tadaka's not going to stick around next turn, wants to really leverage his advantage while he has it right now. I think Anil's very happy if a Jin comes out from Daniel. Oh yeah, it looks like he did forget the Dreamer last turn because he has these little tokens. I believe that's... I don't know what ring that is. It's probably Void, maybe? No, it's not Void. Why would it be Void? It was Fire. So Earth and Earth on both Dreamers. So Anil's going to go for a big swing, probably at Pilgrimage for Earth. Yeah, political Earth looks like. Going at Chags, we're going to try and remove him. And that is Endless Plains. He does run it. I think. Oh no, that's Border Fortress. Okay. I just saw purple and I just thought it was Endless Plains, and Anil was just a god at dodging the 1 and 4. Okay, it's Border Fortress though. Anil knew that because he saw the list. Six political coming in here. Even if you spend the captive audience, it actually goes to 7 military. I don't know what Daniel can do here. But you have to try and win this, right? So the cloud just gets let go immediately. The fastest reaction from Anil there. We have Defend Your Honor, Charge, Bonsai, Let Go. I think that's it in the discard pile for events. So there's still Cav reserves available, Captive Audience, Jin. Johnny now on his stronghold. This Earth Ring's going to be huge too. We know Johnny has a Cav reserves and a Captive Audience in hand, so 1 and 4 at least to grab some sort of high impact event. Finds the Bonsai that was dead, so that's good for Johnny. The discard didn't really matter there. Oh, there was 2 Cav reserve or 2 Captive Audience in hand. Either of those would have been huge. I seen Unleash the Jin too. Yeah, half of Daniel's hand was good hits that would have been really huge. So really fortunate for him to have that happen. Gives him some fighting chance in this game, but I mean, he's going to rely on a big Cav reserves here basically to sort of snowball him into a win. He's also kind of hoping Anil hasn't drawn the 3rd Censure. We had 1 discarded to a Shrine Maiden. We had 1 turn 1. If there's a 3rd Censure and it just censures like a Cav reserves, then this is very bad for Dan. He's basically just dead on the board in that case. So looks like we're going for the Water Ring, gonna try and bow Tadaka, or at least force him to defend. The unfortunate thing though is Phoenix has got a lot of stands. Anil hasn't against the Waves in hand. We know it from the Shrine Maiden earlier. I believe he drew one and has never played it. So Anil does not defend. He's probably just going to go for a display here. And sure does. That's going to bow the Child of the Plains, probably. Giving no defenders to Daniel. Anil has to make a military attack now, though. But Daniel's going to be spending military high-impact cards on defense. That's not what you want. Goes for military air, applying more honor pressure. Just going to prevent... Now that Daniel's locked and his hand has largely been emptied, Anil just going to try and prevent him from getting more cards to get any gas going. It is Rally. Daniel decides to flip it to political. I wonder what the reasoning there is. So it looks like he's playing a Tattooed Wanderer at home. Ah, we're playing a Tattooed Wanderer into another Talisman at home. We're going to Talisman over to Pilgrimage now. So if I were Anil, I would probably just Favorable Ground Tadaka out of here. You don't really care about breaking Pilgrimage, the Talisman's been used. But we're just going to spend the Clarity and break the province. We're going to turn off any future Talismans now. Still a curious flip from Rally to turn it to political. So one from unopposed, and then Anil's going to steal one, putting Daniel at 3 honor. Can't play Jin anymore. So that, at least the Jin we know in his hand is now dead. Daniel also has to be very careful about his attacks here. If he attacks, Anil could defend it quite easily with Tadaka. And then stand with Against the Waves and break Stronghold. Yep. So, because the Unicorn Stronghold was not used, this has to be a political attack from Daniel. So he's going to have to spend a captive audience here to make this military and use the cav reserves like he wants. Alright, so there's a captive audience. Anil probably doesn't want to censure this because he's only really afraid of cavalry reserves at this point. Jin is off. If he has the censure, he plays it here. Does not have the censure. So we're going to see, I think, Chagatai, and that's it, right? Oh no, he didn't discard the Chags last turn. So it's going to be Shono and a 2-drop, the Trailblazer. This will be good for getting Daniel at least an honor back. But this is not looking good for him. This is actually, as a reminder, this is just the second break for Daniel. So it's going to be 3 plus another 4, 7, 8, 9 for Daniel versus 8 for Anil right now. I guess I could have looked at the dice. We're going to see Anil spend the Storm. Daniel just basically doesn't have anything left. And then there's the... So yeah, Daniel spends the Shono to give himself +2. And then a Katana comes down to answer that. That should put Anil at like 13, and Anil should win the ring here. And now we're going to see an Against the Waves on Tadaka. Actually, no, we're not, because Anil already attacked twice this turn. Never mind. No reason to spend the Against the Waves. Anil keeps the favor, but loses Tadaka. Now I think Anil will almost certainly go and flush his provinces to try and find another copy of Tadaka, because if he were to find another copy of Tadaka, that is just the game. But Daniel's also on 1 honor. Could be he keeps the library and just goes for a low bid plan. And that looks to be the case. Anil will be first player this next turn too, I think. No, he won't, because this Anil was first player this last turn. So Daniel will get one opportunity to go for like an air ring and get himself out of this hole. But again, Daniel still has only broken 1 province. This is not what you want. It's not looking good. He's pretty much all but dead. Yeah, turn 1 Tadaka, very on pace play there by Anil. This Ujina will basically seal the game, I think, because he can just buy Ujina and then use Ujina to kill any sort of any like strong characters that Daniel ever gets. He does have a Consumed by 5 Fires in the discard pile that he can just use his Stronghold to replay. Utaku Infantry coming in. Followed by a 3rd Ethereal Dreamer from Anil. Gonna go another 2-Fate Ethereal Dreamer. Daniel's hand is unlocked now, but I mean, Anil is definitely just going to bid 1 here. Going for big storms. He has 1 more storm in his discard pile. He's just making it 4 strength now. I wonder if Anil... Oh, he does go for the Ujina buy too. I wonder how much fate. Oh, he's thinking about it because he only has 6 fate. He just goes for the Mia Mystic instead. I think that's a wise move. Keep your fate open. It's not really a hot take, Grody. I think most people feel that way. That I think Unicorn Hisamori Toride is stronger than their new stronghold. Wow. So we're seeing the Dreamers come out. I think that's 1 fire, 2 fire, maybe water on the last one. 3 fire. So Anil's like, come at me. Definitely going to be hard for Daniel to win a fire ring and get, I think, 2 Keeper Initiates back. Yeah, so there's the fire ring coming in. He's not flipping a province, though, so that Trailblazer's just a 2-1. Not what you want. But he knows the last province is Upholding Authority, I believe. Oh no, Upholding Authority is in the next dead, so he's just trying to deny fate from Anil. Charges in the Chagatai. If Anil has a cloud here, that would be good. Or Anil just eats the honor loss, I think. Maybe that's not the fire ring. It must be the void ring that he set those dreamers to. So yeah, I think the charged Chagatai comes in here. We're getting some Keeper Initiates. And then Anil's just going to go for a void play and remove Chagatai from the game with Ujina. There are no Shugenja currently for Daniel, so it's going to be really hard for him to defend that. Oh, it's air? Oh, he's just going for air. Oh yeah, that works too. You know, why be cute with void? Just go for air and win the game, right? Yeah, so Daniel just defends with the Keeper Initiate, plays Captive Audience, and dies. Oh yeah, there was no Ujina. You're right. Yeah, sorry about that, chat. I forgot he actually didn't buy the Ujina, he just bought the Mia Mystic. That also just kills any Talisman play if Daniel runs all 3. This is night and day how that matchup goes when you see Tadaka. Anil also had a very critical censure on the charge. Yeah, Tadaka and Censure, man. They really do make or break this matchup. You have to disrupt what Unicorn's doing. Well played by Daniel, though, bringing Unicorn to top 4 right after their clan pack. He was the only one to go 5-1 day 1. He definitely played well. So looking at the bracket, it looks like James Matthew did lose to Anthony Hunter Edwards. So the other table right now is a Dragon Mirror. So we're definitely seeing a Dragon versus Phoenix finals now. Will it be Arash versus Anil, or will it be Anthony against Anil? We will see.